Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's A Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk a little bit about death. Right? Nice happy topic. It's one of my big topics. I've got a little list of big topics, and I've kind of left them there for weeks and weeks and weeks, waiting for the right moment to sort of talk about it. Right? It's not one that I could just kind of just do off the cusp, and yeah, then just put it out there. I felt like this is something that needed some proper thought behind it. They needed some proper inspiration, right? So yesterday I went to see a mate, and we watched a movie, right? Which I can't remember what movie it was. I think it was Cube, right, or something like that. But basically, they didn't like it very much because they sort of thought, well, why? No one wants to be alive that badly, was what I remember them saying, and that kind of stuck with me. And that was the thing that made me want to make this video. No one wants to live that badly. And I thought, well I do, right? I'm very scared of death, right? The idea of it really freaks me out. And obviously that sounds like a basic statement, right? Death freaks me out. Like, obviously it does. Death freaks everyone out. That's why we look both ways before crossing the road. But there's something about the endless nothing that really unnerves me. I remember a couple of years ago, in probably the worst sort of state of my life, I remember being, whatever the opposite of suicidal is, right? I hated the idea of dying. I was scared to even leave the house sometimes for fear of getting run over and dying suddenly. I was like, what if that's the end? I see movies, right, and there'll be like someone who gets shot and killed, and it's just kind of like an off, whatever sort of thing. It's just like another body, like an action movie, like pop, 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 that's 3 people dead right there. And that's 3 people with like husbands or wives and children, parents, friends, loved ones, siblings, co-workers, hopes and dreams, passions, a past. Many of the, usually you see someone that gets shot in an action movie, they're probably like 25 years old. If they're part of some, generic evil entity that the good guys need to shoot to get their way through it, those people are usually like at least adults, right? So there's at least, let's call it 25 years, maybe 30 years of backstory to them. And think of all the things that have gone on there. Their first kiss, graduating from high school, all the hardships that person would have gone through that the writer didn't bother to write, right? Because all that matters is that this person died, right? This person existed just to no longer exist. And I know it's just in a film, and I know I shouldn't like think it. But then think about this. You can translate that from being a movie to war footage in the news. Take, I don't know, the Ukraine war or the genocide in Palestine or whatever, right? People are going sort of missing and dying and stuff, and people's lives are being treated like commodities where you can just sort of get rid of them. It doesn't even matter. Or people that get tortured for years and years and years before then getting killed, right? And there's all of these things, so much suffering and misery that goes on in so many places of the world before the inevitable death, right? That just makes me think, like, I don't know how we can actually put up with this. I don't know how we've looked at this and sort of thought, this is okay, we need to keep fighting in this manner, right? This is acceptable. It just isn't, right? So I'm very scared of death in that way, right? I'm not, and what really freaked me out, what made me want to make this video was I was thinking about death a lot, and I was thinking about my attitude towards suicide. It's not an attitude I have anymore, but I used to have this attitude that suicide was a very selfish act, that it's something that you choose to do for the sake of you and you alone, and you are putting the needs of you, aka the needs to die and escape this suffering, or whatever it might be that is the reason that you overdose or slit your wrists or or kick the stool or whatever, right? The reason that you're doing that, right, is for yourself, right? And you're not thinking about your family, you're not thinking about your friends and all that sort of thing. Or you might have deluded yourself into thinking that that's what they want for you, right? And I had this attitude, and I kind of knew that it wasn't quite right, but as a feeling, it felt right. It felt right to judge people who tried this, right? Because how dare they take themselves away from me, right? How dare they remove themselves from a position where I can talk to them or text them or call them up or whatever, because I want to talk to them, because I have feelings of attachment towards them in even a platonic or a romantic way, right? Or because I need a job doing from them, right? It was selfish, is what I thought. My attitude was, I thought that it was a very selfish thing to commit suicide. And that I thought was a safety net, because I don't consider myself a selfish person, you know? So I thought I'd be safe from suicide inherently, right? And that I would never do it because I'm safe, right? Because I think that it's a bad thing to do. I think that it's a morally weak thing to do and a selfish thing to do, right? But my attitude started to change, probably during the pandemic, maybe a bit after the pandemic. It started to shift in that I started to understand more that suicide is this sort of thing, which is, for instance, the reason that they say it's so important to get a hold of someone and to get them to call the Samaritans or whatever and to get that help in that moment is because usually a suicide is like a very flash in the pan feeling that doesn't last for a hugely long time. It's hard to completely premeditate. I mean, you can premeditate the methods and all that kind of thing, but the actual execution of the self-execution is very, very difficult to sustain that feeling for a long time, right? Someone who stands on the edge of a building isn't going to stand there for 8-9 hours, right? Eventually they're going to go back, and eventually they're going to look down and they're going to see the gravity that pulls them down, and they'll see themselves dying, and they'll realize just how bad it is. And that's not to say they'll stop being suicidal at all, but it helps to be able to get help in that exact moment, right? Which is why it's so important to call the Samaritans or whatever, right? In that exact moment, because it's so important, right? Yeah, my attitude towards suicide started to shift, where it stopped being a selfish thing because of the people around, and it started to become more just like a cry for help, a sign that someone needs something, right? That they're incomplete, that there's something missing, right? And I don't even think that's the real attitude towards suicide. I still don't think I've got the right answer. I don't begin to believe things like that. But the reason I'm thinking about suicide so much is, this is going to sound really bad, right? But I was at work maybe last week, and I had what I could finally describe as a real suicidal thought, like a proper one. Not like a generic call from the void, like if I got hit by that car, I'd get hospitalized and then I wouldn't have to sit this test or whatever. Or, I imagine what it would be like if I did die. What would people think? It was nothing like that. It was a proper, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to escape. Why am I doing all of this? Why is there a life? Why should I even bother with it, And that really, really scared me, because I thought I was so anti-suicide, right? I thought that it was something I would never conceive of doing, right? And so I started looking into it, and I Googled some stuff, and it turns out that people who have that attitude towards suicide are just as, if not more vulnerable and predicated towards suicide than the average person who doesn't think like that, who doesn't have that attitude towards suicide, who probably doesn't even think about it. Because think about it like this. Someone who, like me, who has that attitude towards suicide has thought about it so much that they've been able to come away with some kind of takeaway, of some kind of opinion on the thing to begin with, right? And that in itself is a scary thought, and that I'm not even safe from myself. I'm not safe from my own body and my own mind. And that, because, your mind often works against you in various ways. You put yourself down, if you make a mistake, or you keep yourself up at night with anxieties, all that kind of stuff. And that's not unique to me. There's so many people go through that, right? And it just really scared me, because what if I could? What if I could do that? But the thing is, I'm such a pussy, right? I remember, fuck me, there's how many trigger warnings am I gonna have to put on this video? Because I'm about to start saying I cut myself once. I didn't properly, right? But I got a bread knife, right? Or, like a fruit cutting knife, the thin one without the serrated bits, right? Basic kitchen knife. And I tried to cut myself on the arm, and I thought, well, you're meant to do it here, aren't you? You're meant to, it's like that way for real, and it's like that way for attention. And I thought, well, I don't want attention. I don't want people commenting on that sort of thing. So I did it a bit further up. And I also thought, well, it's more fatty and stuff up here. It's not going to hurt as much, which if you're trying to self-harm, going for the bit that doesn't hurt as much, kind of against the point. And so I tried cutting in, tried digging the knife into my flesh, and it wasn't working. And I didn't know what to do, so I took a lighter and I heated up the knife. I thought maybe, you know, a hot knife through butter, maybe that'll make it easier. It didn't make it easier. I just about managed to draw blood, not much, like a couple drops of blood. And then I thought, this is fucking stupid. So I went for a walk, and I went for a long walk for maybe 2-3 hours, just going around the block, basically in circles, not completely in circles. I kind of do that and then get bored of that one and go up there and check out this other bit around here, you know, not literally just wandering the exact same 3 streets over and over again. And I mean, I think that should tell you all, really. Like, I'm not someone that should even be qualified to give opinions on this, and I'm not trying to give any kind of advice. I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just giving my perspective on it, right? My thoughts. Because, you know, I've had people that have, I don't think I've had anyone like super close to me that's killed themselves. I've had people that I've known who I've had to stop knowing. But I have had people that have tried. And it's always been sad, because I've always been very far away, powerless to stop it. Can't even call an ambulance because someone's done that already. Someone else has done the heroic action, right? And I've just sat there as an observer, not even as an observer, just someone who's gotten a text message saying someone so-and-so has done this, and then we have a bit of a conversation about how sad it is, right? And then we sit there making, you know, little pithy fucking talk about it, right? And it got me thinking about death quite a lot, because death is the ultimate inevitable. It's the only thing that we can be truly certain of. I'm more certain that I'm going to die than I am certain that the sun is going to rise tomorrow, right? Because there's only a 99.99999999999% chance that the sun's going to rise, right? There could be some freak thing that happens in the night, right? And that stops the sun from rising. Maybe the sun disappears. Maybe there's some scientific thing that we haven't understood yet, right? But whatever happens, my conscious is eventually going to stop, right? My body is eventually going to stop functioning. And all the science in the world can only delay, right? You stick my brain in a jar, you're only preventing the inevitable, right? Because eventually the universe is going to blow up, and, you know, the heat death of the universe and all that. So eventually death will come for everybody, right? And so it's the ultimate inevitable. And it's got me thinking about it a lot, because I am scared of death. I'm very scared of death. I'm scared of dying. I'm scared of dying before I achieve my dreams. I'm scared of dying in a way that will cause hurt to my friends and my family. I'm scared that if I died, that my legacy would remain incomplete, and I'm scared that my legacy would be misinterpreted. I'm very scared that I won't be able to complete everything that I need to complete. And the worst thing is that I don't even know what that is yet. I don't know what it is I need to finish. I have all these stupid, pithy projects, right? Films, albums, videos, right? That at the end of the day don't matter, right? Because all that's going to happen is someone's going to watch them, enjoy them, and then get on with their life. It's not, maybe it's making the world better, you know, piece by piece, in a very, very minute way, like throwing some grass seeds on a patch of dirt, but it's not gonna, you know, grow a tree that springs fruit from it that people can eat and stop people from starving to death, is it? So, I mean, I'm not doing anything of any worth, am I? Right? And I know that's just begging for attention. That's just sort of begging for people to go, oh no, you do so much, you're such an inspiration to people. And it's like, yeah, I know, but I don't know, it just doesn't, I thought it would do something. I thought that being an inspiration to people would make me feel something more. But if anything, it's, I don't know, it's a change that I'm having to get adjusted to. I have to figure out, right? Because I've just come off one of the greatest moments of my life, the greatest few months of my life. And I think because comparatively, now I'm kind of come back to normal, I'm realizing that my state of normalcy wasn't all that good. And that those greatest times that I had were actually what I should have been aiming for the entire time. That's what forever should look like. And I'm working on that. I'm working on making forever in the future a better place. But I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know how strong I am. I don't know if I'm a particularly strong individual. I still smoke, right? No matter how hard I try to quit, you know. I mean, what am I really? I'm just some guy that goes out into parks, talks some bullshit, right? And I work in a pub. Great. Aren't I such a fucking success? But then that's surface level as well, isn't it? The fact that I've gone straight for that, for materialist shows of wealth and power and you know, things that you do that do have impact in the real world, rather than, you know, any internal inner peace. That's where true character is. Someone who is truly at peace with themselves and in love with the world around them, no matter what, is so much richer than the richest depressive ever out there. I mean, I find death kind of interesting because I used to date someone, right, who they were obsessed with death, and they had this idea. I'm not sure what religion it stems from. They weren't inherently religious. I think they got it from some kind of religion, though. That when you die, you wait in the mortal realm in the form of some kind of ghost, and you wait until you can pass on to the other side. And I asked her, when do you know you're ready to pass on to the other side? And it's like, it depends on who you are. And she used to say if she died before me, that she would wait for me before she passes on to the other side. And I wish that were true. I wish that were, or at least I wish I believed that. I wish I believed that. I wish I thought that was how it is. I wish I believed in an afterlife. That it all seems extremely comforting, you know. Even hell, you know, at least you're still conscious. You're being tortured for all eternity. But eventually, eternity means eternity, right? So that means quadrillions of years is 0% of eternity. So quadrillions of years in the future into being tortured, right, it's gonna feel just like normal, right? And that'll be the norm, right? We could be living in hell right now being tortured and we wouldn't even know it, right? Or we could be living in heaven, getting all the greatest fruits brought to us, you know, and having all the luxuries in the world, right? We don't know how great or how bad we have it because we have no point of comparison. I mean, we have other countries to compare ourselves to. People in Africa have, you know, developed countries, and people in developed countries have, you know, undeveloped countries to compare themselves to in this general state of wealth and living conditions. But an overall state of being, we have no idea how far the spectrum goes in that regard, right? I mean, I used to sort of believe in afterlife, not a real like heaven and hell sort of thing, but a general reincarnation, kind of Hinduistic in nature. Not that I am Hindu or ever was Hindu, but I sort of believed in this idea that life essence and the soul carries on and is separate from the body that we operate in, right? And that our souls operate the brain, which operates the body, right? Hence why maybe you have this as well, but I feel like there is me and my brain. And I thought that the me was the soul, and that after I die, that me would continue to perceive. Maybe they wouldn't literally, you know, be sat there at the funeral going, oh, why is she not crying? Or, oh, I didn't realize they didn't like me that much. Or, oh shit, I can't believe they missed me so much, or whatever, you know? It wouldn't be like that. I don't think it would be anything like what I thought it would be. And I knew that. But I thought there would be something. I thought there would be perception, continued perception, in the absence of senses. And it's something that I've been trying to get to grips with, is that I am so in love with life. I love being alive. Even though life isn't easy, even though life is a struggle, and I have it relatively easy as a privileged person from a developed country in a fairly nice area, right, with access to, you know, luxuries. The fact that I have a fucking cinema camera that I can just take around and make videos like this, compared to other people who might have much more interesting thoughts than me, who don't have the resources to be able to get them out there, right? I'm very privileged to have all of that. and yet I seem to take it for granted by being miserable, right? And that leads you to feeling guilty, because why are you so sad when so many people have it worse? And you know that that's not correct attitude to have. You know that that's a self-defeating attitude. I know it for a fact that that's not how to be. I know that there are people who have much worse circumstances than me who are able to take something better from it, and there are people who have much better circumstances than me who are much more upset, because, you know, mental health is a huge cosmic fucking spectrum of, you know, chemical imbalances and, you know, emotion and idiosyncrasies and the differences between all of our conscious minds, because we are all so vastly diverse in ways of thinking, right? And I don't know. I don't even know if I should put this video out. I worry that it, you know, maybe it's too much. You know, I feel like the whole point of this channel has been, you know, talk honestly and openly about subjects that I care about, and this is one that I care about, but it's one that I don't know if I have the credentials. I mean, I certainly don't have the credentials, but I don't even know if I have it right. I don't know if maybe even if releasing this video would cause harm or whatever. And I don't know, maybe I'll put it past some people first and see what they think. But I think to close it out, I think I'm not comfortable with the idea of dying. And the idea of people close to me dying really scares me. I mean, people I know that are getting quite old now, I look at them and I think, are you not terrified of death? And they never seem to talk about it. And I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to get them to start thinking about it. I don't want to push that onto them. So what do I do? I don't know. This video is going to fizzle out, I think, because there's no conclusion, there's no winning, there's no figuring it all out here, there's no conclusion to come to, there's no climax at the end of this, there's no, oh, and then we figured it all out. It's just an endless circle trying to find the truth. I wrote a lot about death today. I wrote some, I was going to write some kind of book. Someone told me that I should write a book kind of condensing some of the ideas in these videos into something, you know, a bit more malleable and understandable. So I wrote about 1,000 words on death. And generally I've covered most of it in this. I'm just having a look, seeing if there's anything new. There's not. No, I have covered everything. Yeah. Right. That's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching. I don't even know if I'm going to put this video out. I might just keep it for myself. Or, I don't know.